Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon, ma'am.
We completed cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, and we learn about a new concept, that is chemiosmotic hypothesis. Is there any doubts regarding? Are there any doubts regarding photophosphorylation? Hope you have understood. So, if any doubts are still there, please let me know by tomorrow. Okay, let's see chemiosmotic hypothesis. So, you know what is osmosis? What is osmosis, Gayatri? What do you mean by osmosis?
Regulation of water. I mean,
Regulation of water.
no, ma'am. Like the
Movement
movement of water from a lower, higher concentration to lower concentration.
to a region over concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Here we call it as chemiosmotic hypothesis. Here, chemicals, that is ions, are getting transported across the membrane. Okay, from a region of higher concentration of protons to a region of lower concentration. So since ions or protons are moving from a region of higher to lower concentration, you call this process as chemiosmotic hypothesis. So let's learn more about the same. Chemiosmotic hypothesis, it explains the mechanism of ATP synthesis in chloroplast. So when we discussed about non-cyclic photophosphorylation, we learned that utilizing the energy released by the electrons as they are transferred along the electron transport chain, an ATP molecule is being synthesized. About that synthesis of ATP, you're going to learn in detail now. It explains the mechanism of ATP synthesis taking place in chloroplast. I don't know whether I told you about cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, where it happens. Non-cyclic photo, did I tell you that? Cyclic photophosphorylation takes place in stroma lamellae, whereas non-cyclic photophosphorylation is taking place in the thylakoid membranes. Did I mention that? If not, you just note it down. Cyclic photophosphorylation is taking place in stroma lamellae, whereas non-cyclic photophosphorylation is taking place in thylakoid membranes. Okay, coming back to our topic. Chemiosmotic hypothesis explains the mechanism of synthesis of ATP in the chloroplast. And ATP synthesis is linked to the development of a proton gradient. Proton gradient means a difference in the concentration of protons or H plus ions. So when there is a difference in the concentration of protons inside and outside the membrane, you call it as proton gradient across the thylakoid membrane. See here, what you see in pink color. Okay, pink color, circular or oval structure, what you see here is a single thylakoid. Hope you are remembering what is a thylakoid inside. And chloroplast, you know, it's a double layered membrane. Chloroplast is a double layered membrane. Inside the chloroplast, you can find several thylakoids arranged one above the other to form stacks known as grana. Each one is granum, and several such grana you can find scattered in the chloroplast, and these are interconnected by stroma lamellae. I told you it is in the stroma lamellae that cyclic photophosphorylation takes place. Stroma lamellae. Whereas this one, a single one, I'll border it. See, this one is enlarged and shown over here. A single thylakoid. So, non-cyclic photophosphorylation is taking place in the thylakoid membranes. You can find you can find the components of the photosystem, cytochromes. So the different components necessary for non-cyclic photophosphorylation arranged on the membrane of thylakoid. This is the lumen, the space inside thylakoid. And this one is stroma. Stroma because chloroplast has got a matrix. You call it a stroma. It is in the stroma that the thylakoids are arranged as grana. Okay, so if this is considered as a single thylakoid, outside will be stroma, the matrix. Inside you call it as a lumen, the space inside thylakoid. So ATP synthesis is related to the establishment of a proton gradient. So there arises a difference in the concentration of protons inside and outside. When you compare the concentration of protons or hydrogen ions inside and outside, there will be a difference. A proton gradient will be established across the membrane. Here the concentration will be more and here the concentration will be less. Outside or in the stroma, the concentration becomes less and inside it becomes high. We will see how this is happening. So there are different ways by means of which such a proton gradient is established. Now let's see what makes a difference in the concentration of protons inside and outside the thylakoid membrane. Outside means the stroma and inside the lumen of the thylakoid. What are the different steps involved in the formation of a proton gradient? Proton gradient means a difference in the concentration of protons or H plus ions inside and outside. If it remains the same, no proton gradient. When there is a difference, you call it as a proton gradient. Splitting of water molecule. You know that a splitting of water molecule takes place. Hope you are remembering the Z scheme. In the Z scheme, we learned about a splitting of water molecule into hydrogen, means protons, electrons. Hope you are remembering. Photolysis takes place. Water splitting complex is situated in the lumen of the thylakoid. So what will happen to the electrons, oxygen, and I told protons? These three are released. It's not balanced. Electrons, then protons or hydrogen ions and oxygen will be released. And this oxygen will diffuse out into the atmosphere. And these electrons will compensate for the loss of electrons from photosystem 2. This we learned in the previous class. Whereas the protons will remain inside. Okay, I'll repeat once again. What we are seeing now is how a proton gradient is established. How a higher concentration of protons inside the lumen and lesser concentration in the stroma or outside the thylakoid membrane is established. What is the reason? How it is happening? First point, the splitting of water molecule, it is taking place inside the membrane. On the inner side of the membrane, it is happening. The splitting of water is taking place on the inner side of the membrane. As a result, what will happen? You know, when photolysis of water takes place, electrons, protons, and oxygen are released. Oxygen will diffuse out. It's a byproduct of photosynthesis. And electrons released will reach the photosystem to system 2 to compensate for the loss of electrons. Whereas protons, they will remain inside. The protons will remain inside. And that will contribute to the increase in the concentration of protons or hydrogen ions. That is one way by means of which the proton concentration, more protons are added to the lumen of the thylakoid. Hope you are getting the point. The pink circle, what you see is a membrane of the thylakoid. And it is in the thylakoid membrane that our non-cyclic photophosphorylation is taking place. And when the splitting of water molecule or water splitting complex is located inside the membrane, splitting of water takes place, releasing oxygen, electrons, and protons. Electrons will compensate for the loss of electrons from photosystem 2 when the non-cyclic photophosphorylation is taking place. We explained about it. And oxygen diffuses out, and the hydrogen ions or protons will remain in the lumen, making it increase in concentration. So protons accumulate in the lumen of thylakoids. Now, second method by means of which protons getting accumulated in the lumen, we'll see as electrons move through the photosystems. So you know that electrons are, as we already learned, that is why I told this is a continuation of what we had learned before. So that's why I was asking repeatedly whether you followed. You know that from photosystem 1. So here it is shown as cytochrome DNF. It's a part of electron transport system. So I think in the old textbook, this picture was given. And in the new textbook here, plastoquinoline, plastocyanin, all those are given. They together make plastocyanin, plastoquinone, then cytochrome B6F together, they will make the electron transport system. Plastoquinoline, then plastocyanin, cytochromes B6 and F together, they will make electron transport chain. And you know that from photosystem, the excited electrons will move through photosystems. So when these electrons are being circulated, when the electrons are getting circulated through these from the photosystem to electron transport chain, from there it will go to photosystem 1. So that we already in non-cyclic photophosphorylation we have learned photosystem, there an electron acceptor will take it, from there through the electron transport chain it will reach the photosystem 1. All that we had learned. So when the electrons are moving through the photosystem, we already learned that energy will be released. And using that energy, synthesizing ATP also we mentioned. So how did ATP synthesis taking place? That we are going to see. So when the electrons are moving through the photosystems, protons will be transported across the membrane. So when we learned about non-cyclic photophosphorylation, we just mentioned that utilizing the energy released by the transport of electrons, ATP molecule is synthesized. So we didn't discuss about the details at that time. So that we are discussing now. As the electrons pass through these different components like photosystem 1 to electron transport system, from there to photosystem. So when these electrons are getting transported, it will release energy. So this utilizing this energy, protons from outside. Protons from outside means outside. What do you mean by outside? What does the outside indicate? Outside the thylakoid membrane, what is present? Can anybody tell me what is there outside? External to the thylakoid membrane. What do you call that part? Children, are you sleeping? Stroma. So the part is stroma. Because you remember the picture or the structure of chloroplast, which we had learned before. Stacks of thylakoids, known as granum. There are these different grana situated or present, scattered in the stroma, the matrix which fills chloroplast. Lumen of chloroplast is filled with the stroma. So stroma is outside. So utilizing that energy, protons will be transported again to the lumen. So that is the second method by means of which the concentration of protons inside the lumen increases. Okay. How was the proton increasing? The first method we mentioned was when photolysis takes place, or when the splitting of water takes place, that electrons, protons and oxygen are released. That water splitting complex is located inside the thylakoid membrane. And when water splits in presence of light, three products are formed: oxygen, electrons and protons. Electrons will compensate for the loss of electrons from photosystem 2. Oxygen diffuses out and protons will remain there in the lumen itself. So that will increase the concentration of protons inside the lumen. Second method is what we are saying, as protons are moving through these different photosystems and electron transport chain, energy will be released. What we learned is with that energy, ATP synthesis, just one line we learned. But how the ATP synthesis taking place, we are learning. So that is known as chemiosmotic hypothesis, how the ATP synthesis taking place. So utilizing the energy obtained by the transfer of electrons, protons will be transferred from the stroma into the lumen. It enters the lumen. So as a result, the concentration inside the lumen increases and in the stroma it will decrease. Okay. This happens because protons are moved from the stroma for the following reasons. The primary electron acceptor. The primary electron acceptor is located. We learned already the photosystem 2, when the electrons get excited, they move to an electron acceptor. Then from there only it is passed to through the electron transport chain. So the primary electron acceptor is located on the outer side of the membrane. Outer part of the thylakoid membrane, not towards the inner side. This is located on the outer side of the membrane and it transfers the electrons to a proton carrier. And this will remove a proton from the stroma while transporting an electron. The same point what we discussed, as electrons are getting transported, utilizing that energy, a proton also, when an electron is getting transported, correspondingly a proton from the stroma will be transferred to the lumen of the thylakoid. When this molecule passes on its electron to the electron carrier on the inner side, proton will be released into the lumen. Or else in a single line, what you say is that utilizing the energy released by the transfer of electrons, protons will be transferred from the stroma into the lumen. So they have explained how it is happening or what makes the protons get removed from the stroma into the lumen. So the primary electron acceptor, when the photosystem 2, when the electrons present there get excited, when those electrons are getting excited, they'll be taken up by an electron acceptor. But this primary electron acceptor, where is it located? On the outer part of the thylakoid membrane. So it will be transferring its electrons. So from the primary electron acceptor, the electron will be transferred to a proton carrier. Okay, and so this proton carrier, along with the transporting electron, it will remove a proton also, because it is a proton carrier. And when this molecule, when this proton carrier passes this electron to a carrier on the inner side, next it will be passed on to a carrier on the inner side. So then what happens? Along with this, proton will be released to the inner side of the membrane. I'll repeat it once again. Primary electron acceptor. Primary electron acceptor. Where is it located? On the outer side. On the outer side of thylakoid membrane. On the outer side of thylakoid membrane. So it is situated on the outer side of the thylakoid membrane. So first electrons will reach here. Electrons will reach primary electron acceptor, which is located on the outer side of thylakoid membrane. So from primary electron acceptor, where do the electrons go? They'll be transferred to a proton carrier. So this proton carrier, along with transferring the electrons, as they transfer the electrons, along with that, a proton along with the electron, they will be transferring protons also. And to where it goes, from this proton carrier, it will be transferred to an electron carrier, which is located on the inner side of the, or on the lumen of the membrane. So the next one is situated on the inner side. So protons also will be released to the inner side. Once again, electrons from the photosystem will be taken up by, so electrons from photosystem 2 will be taken up by a primary electron acceptor. Where is the primary electron acceptor present? On the outer side of thylakoid membrane. And from the primary electron acceptor, where it goes? To proton carrier. So they will carry electron. Along with that, they will remove a proton also from the stroma. So they will remove, along with the electron, the proton carrier will carry or remove a proton from the stroma. And from this proton carrier, it will be transferred to another electron carrier, which is situated on the inner side. So along with the electrons, protons also will be moved to the inner side. So that also will result in increasing the concentration of protons inside the thylakoid membrane. Then another step which contributes to increase in protons. We already mentioned about NADP reductase. This enzyme is necessary to convert NADP to NADPH2. So this reaction, conversion of NADP to NADPH2, is catalyzed by the enzyme NADP reductase. Where is it located? On the stroma side. Means stroma where already protons amount is getting reduced. So it is located on the stroma side of the membrane. So along with the electrons, you know that electrons from photosystem 1, recollect what you learned in Z scheme. Electrons from photosystem 1 will go to an electron acceptor. From there, it will move to NADP to reduce it. The electrons will be accepted by NADP and it gets reduced. So along with the electrons, protons are also needed for reducing NADP into NADPH2. NADP should be reduced to NADPH2. Already we learned NADP is getting Z scheme, we learned NADP is getting reduced to NADPH2 on accepting electrons. But not only electrons, protons are also needed for reducing NADP to NADPH2. And where is NADP reductase enzyme present, which catalyzes the reaction? It is located in the stroma. So the protons necessary for reducing this NADP will be taken from the stroma. So that will again result in reducing the proton concentration in stroma and increasing the concentration in the lumen. Did you understand the second point, children? Are you there? So I was discussing about different ways by means of which the proton gradient is established. Proton gradient means the difference in the concentration of protons across the membrane. Here the membrane is thylakoid membrane. So many steps I told you how this is happening, how a difference in the proton is existing or it is established between the inner and outer part of the thylakoid membrane. The first point, I'm repeating it again. The first point, water splitting complex or photolysis of water takes place inside the lumen. So the protons produced as a result will remain inside. That will contribute to increase in the proton gradient or increase in the proton concentration in the lumen. First point, hope you have understood. Second step is when electrons are transported between the photosystems and electron transport chain, energy is released. Utilizing that energy, protons from stroma can be transferred inside. That is the second method. So that they've explained in detail how it is happening. the primary electron acceptor. Where is it located? From photosystem to electrons get excited, it will be accepted by primary electron acceptor. And primary electron acceptor is located on the outer side of the membrane. Okay? Outside, on the outer part of thylakoid membrane. And from there, from the primary electron acceptor to where the electron goes? To a proton carrier. Okay, it goes to a proton carrier. What is special about proton carrier? Along with the electrons, they will remove a proton from stroma. And then these protons will be transferred along with the electrons. These protons also will be transferred to an electron carrier, which is there inside the membrane. So then what happens? Protons will be added to the lumen. So that also will result in increasing the proton concentration inside the lumen. Now, one more method I said, NADP reductase. What is the role of this enzyme? To catalyze the conversion of NADP to NADPH2. In Z scheme, we learned upon accepting electrons, NADP will change into NADPH plus H plus or NADPH2. But not only electrons, protons are also needed for getting it reduced. See, NADP, upon accepting 2 protons only, it will become NADPH2. So along with electrons, protons are also needed. And NADP reductase, where is it present? It is in the stroma. So for the process, or when this reduction process takes place, the protons necessary for reducing NADP is taken from where? From the stroma. So again, in the stroma, the amount of the concentration of protons will reduce, because 2 methods we said how we are taking out protons from stroma. One is about the proton carrier, we said, along with removing electrons or along with the transfer of electrons, the proton carrier will remove a proton from the stroma. Then the second method is NADP reductase, that is present outside, on the outer side of the thylakoid membrane. So when NADP is getting reduced to NADPH2, protons are needed. So that protons which are necessary will be taken from the stroma. These are the 2 ways in which the amount of protons in the stroma gets reduced. And we discussed about the different ways in which protons are getting increased inside the lumen. First method, water, splitting of water releases protons into the lumen. First method. Then we learned about the proton carrier. From the primary electron carrier, the electrons will be transferred to proton carrier. So this proton carrier, along with transferring electrons, they take up protons from the stroma and transfer it to the lumen. So that will increase. Second way, by means of which the amount of or the concentration of protons inside the lumen increases. Yes? Okay. So as a result, what happened? Towards the end, concentration of protons inside will increase and outside will reduce. And children, when the protons or hydrogen ions are increasing, what will happen to the pH? When more hydrogen ions are there, it becomes acidic in nature. So the more the acidity, greater or lesser pH? Vidur? Huh?
Lesser.
Because you know that below 7 is acidic pH. So when the protons are getting increased inside the lumen, it becomes acidic and the pH will be lowered. Children, have you understood what are the different ways in which the concentration of protons increase and decrease across the membranes? Have you followed? And half of the faces I can't see. And only 12 have joined. Out of that, 6 are showing their faces. 50% of them, they are not showing their faces. So it's not easy for me to make out whether you are following or not. And what is the reason why many have turned their videos off, children? I've told you earlier also. If I need to understand whether you followed, only from your facial expression. We don't have any 6th sense. We are not magicians. only from your facial expression to certain extent. Some of you are very good at putting on expression as if we have understood everything. We can't help it, but to certain extent that will help us to understand, so that we repeat, not to scold you or not to punish you and say. So from your faces and from your responses, when I feel that you have not understood, I keep on repeating. And this is, as I told you, the topic is a little difficult to understand. I know, being the last period, you are getting bored. This is our third period, continuous classes, all that I understand. But I am also helpless. We need to complete the portions. And what I can do is, till you understand, I can repeat. That I can assure you. But if you're not listening, you won't be able to tell me that you haven't understood. Unless you tell me you haven't understood, I will believe that you have followed and I'll proceed. And finally, all these topics will pile up, and towards the end, you will find it difficult. Children, earlier also I told, rather than completing the portions, we have to go in such a way that you are following and we are completing the portions. And there is no point in just completing the portions without you people understanding. I know many of you are tired, and by some reason you are coming in sitting, because continuous classes can make you tired. Are you okay? Have you followed? And please do read it. Take 10-15 minutes. At least you just read. If you don't have time to learn it thoroughly, at least daily you just read, because we have 3 periods and all. So much will be covered. If you keep it aside, things will pile up and you will lose the interest in subject. And actually, I should say you people are lucky that this year the portions are very less for you to learn when compared to previous year students. Hence, protons in the stroma decrease, while in the lumen, the concentration will increase. Protons get accumulated, and this creates a proton gradient. Proton gradient means a difference in the concentration of protons across the thylakoid membrane, and because of the increase in the concentration of protons here, the pH will decrease. It becomes acidic inside because of the high concentration of protons. Breakdown of proton gradient will lead to the release of energy. Now, this proton gradient, that is high concentration inside the lumen and low concentration outside. Whenever this gradient is broken, whenever this difference is interrupted, it can result in the release of energy. Very, very important point. When the proton gradient is broken down, it will release energy. Breakdown of proton gradient. So presently we learned how a gradient is established. But when this gradient gets broken, it will release energy, and it is using that energy ATP is getting synthesized. And how this gradient is broken down? This gradient is broken down by the movement of protons across the membrane to the stroma. These protons cannot move through any part of the membrane. It is not possible to move, but they can move through a transmembrane channel. Transmembrane channel, or simply you can say membrane channel. A channel passing through the membrane, a passage through the membrane. So how this proton gradient is broken and how the energy is released for synthesizing ATP, we will see. This gradient will get broken down when protons move across the membrane to the stroma through a transmembrane channel. And this transmembrane channel is known as F0. In your textbook, it is mentioned CF0 and CF1. CF0 and CF1, the channel which is passing through the membrane, you call it as CF0, and it is a part of the enzyme ATP synthase. So here you can see an enzyme ATP synthase. It has got two parts, CF0, and we'll come back to the previous slide. The ATP synthase enzyme has got two parts, CF0 and CF1. CF0 is embedded in the membrane. So this is CF0, it is embedded. Hope you are remembering about membrane proteins, peripheral proteins. Are you remembering, children? So here you can see the protein is embedded in the membrane. So this is the membrane. So embedded in the membrane, you can see F0. It forms a membrane, transmembrane channel, a channel passing through the membrane, which carries out facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion also we have learned. In facilitated diffusion, just like passive transport, no energy is required, and the transport takes place with the help of a carrier molecule. So here, ATP synthase has got two components, two parts. CF0, which is embedded in the membrane, and this acts as a transmembrane channel. And by facilitated diffusion, protons are able to move through this membrane. From the lumen, they can go to the stroma. And the next part of the enzyme is CF1. This is the portion which is projecting out. The portion which is projecting out from the portion which is projecting out from the membrane, you call it as CF1. It protrudes on the outer surface of the thylakoid membrane. So the energy due to the breakdown of gradient, see I told you through CF0, the protons will be transported by facilitated diffusion from the lumen into the stroma. So as a result, the concentration, the gradient is getting disturbed. The gradient breaks down. And this brings about a conformational change in CF1. Conformational change means change in the structure and the shape. And it makes the enzyme to synthesize ATP molecule. The energy due to the breakdown. So the energy will be released when the proton gradient is broken down. This brings about a change, conformational change or change in the structure and shape of CF1. And this result in the synthesis of ATP molecules. I'll show the previous slide once again. So here you can find, see this is ATP synthase enzyme. It has got two parts, CF1 and CF0. And CF0 acting as a transmembrane channel. It is embedded in the membrane. As you can see, it is embedded in the membrane. Whereas the other part which is projecting out, we call it as CF1. So these are the two parts. And CF0 acts as a transmembrane channel, and this will help in the movement of protons through this channel. And when the proton gradient is broken down, so when these protons move through the transmembrane channel. So this is a transmembrane channel or a channel existing across the membrane, and through this the protons will move. And when the protons are moving, what will happen? The proton gradient will break down because here it was high and outside it was less. And when the protons move from here to the stroma, proton gradient will break down. And then what happens? The energy will be released. We already learned breakdown of proton gradient result in the release of energy. So when energy is released, utilizing that, an ATP molecule will be synthesized. So utilizing this, ATP molecules will be synthesized. And chemiosmosis requires a membrane, a proton pump, a proton gradient, and ATPase enzyme, ATP synthase or ATPase enzyme. And all these are required for chemiosmosis to take place. Children, now it's already time, not to worry. Chemiosmotic hypothesis regarding the synthesis of ATP, last part I'll be explaining again. So there is no time to explain it again, but you should know. Hope you have understood how that proton gradient is established. Breaking down of proton gradient, I will explain in the next class again. Okay, so you should know up to here how the proton gradient is established. See, till here, I want you to learn and come till here. Then how the breaking down is taking place, I'll repeat again next class. So till there, I think it is clear to you. Okay, and how this proton gradient is broken down and leading to the synthesis of ATP, tomorrow we'll discuss. Okay, any doubts, feel free to ask me. If you can send me a message personally, then next day when I take class, I will consider that and accordingly I can arrange. Accordingly, I will decide the topics to be taken tomorrow. If you are feeling not comfortable to speak in public, you just message this part, because in some classes, as I have told, they used to do that. They'll message me certain topics, or they'll tell that topic, can you take again? No problem. Because you can, any topic, if it is not clear, please message. So tomorrow I'll begin with those doubts and then I'll proceed to the next topic. Okay. So thank you, children. Shall we wind up? So tomorrow you can expect questions. I know you are also tired, so I'm not asking you any questions now. So see you tomorrow. Come prepared. Read, learn and come. How the proton gradient is established. How it is broken down, we'll see again next class. Okay? So shall we wind up?